Respected members of the Research Foundation of India team, our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Kunal Soni sir, and all esteemed participants. I'm Dr. Neha Jain, the program coordinator, extending a warm welcome to each of you on behalf of Research Foundation of India as we commence the fifth day of the Faculty Development Program and the training program on research paper writing. Today's focus is on the captivating topic of compiling references and bibliography. This collaborative effort is organized by the Synergy Research Foundation of India and RFI-CARE in association with MKES Nagindas Khandwala College, Mumbai. It is generously sponsored by various well-known organizations including Eklavya University, JHERF, ARGA, and Edu Academic Inc. Your active involvement enhances these platforms, facilitating a global exchange of innovative concepts and teaching approaches. Before we proceed, allow me the privilege of introducing our esteemed research expert, Dr. Kunal Soni sir. He is an esteemed associate professor of finance and accounting at the School of Management, GSFC University, Vadodara, with a rich academic background spanning 10 years and an additional 3 years of industrial experience. He holds a diverse set of qualifications, including a BBA and MBA in finance, a PhD in management, and various specialized diplomas. His remarkable contributions to the field are evident through 24 publications in widely recognized journals such as Scopus, ABDC, UGC Care, and Web of Science. Notably, he holds a patent under the Intellectual Property Rights Act 1970, recognized by the Government of India for his innovative work on techno-innovation and growth of the Indian share market. His academic excellence is emphasized by winning 3 Best Research Paper Awards at international conferences and sponsored by UGC and AICTE. Acknowledged as the Best Faculty of Management Department at Parun Institute of Management, he has also been a sought-after resource person and session chair at over 20 B schools, UGC, HRDCs, and research institutes across India. As a dynamic educator, he imparts knowledge through training sessions on analytical software like SPSS, AMOS, Smart PLS, eViews, Advanced Excel, and R program. His commitment to continuous learning is demonstrated by his participation in over 20 faculty development programs organized by prestigious institutions such as research papers at national and international conferences, along with conducting 17 seminars and workshops. He stands as a beacon of expertise and innovation in the realm of finance, accounting, and management. So, let us together extend a cordial welcome to Dr. Kunal sir. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha madam. Thank you, RFI, for inviting. So just confirm the screen sharing. Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good evening, one and all. So the topic for today's is compiling references and bibliography. This is one of the important part for all the researcher, especially at the stage of reaching to the literature review findings, right? And when we talks about the literature review, so the questions for the literature review always comes, when we have extensive study on the topic that we want to carry out the research one. So previously, you had already 4 sessions where, you have been taught with the introduction to the literature review, identification of CAP, you had the hands-on session on the SPSS and also on the Excels also, right? Qualitative, quantitative research that you have heard about it. So how to reach on this particular stage, right? How to find out this particular parameter, right? So this is the way out and the gateway from the literature review, right? So we are finding different literature reviews And when we are finding such literature reviews, so when we have the bunch of literature review for the topic on which we want to carry out our research, it will always the challenging part for all of us, how to maintain the proper record, in terms of the area of the literature review that we have it, or might be I can say it, right, when I'm doing research on particular topic, so I have the multiple variables, on which I want to carry out the research on particular topic. Right. So, being a researcher, being a scientific researcher, being a qualitative researcher, you always try to find out the references which is related to the variances, or the variables that we are looking for. Right. So, the arrangement, the synchronization of the references, bibliography, which supports to the particular variable, and that variable is directly or indirectly synchronized with the research work that we are carrying out, right? So compiling, referencing, and bibliography is not just a work, but it is an art, right? It is, the efficiency of the researcher, that how he or she is maintaining the proper records of the references and bibliography, and how efficiently they are carrying out this activity with the saving of time and efforts, and at the same time, the proper demonstration of all such variables are very important. So with that note, the topic for today's discussion is the compiling, referencing, and bibliography for the research work that we have to carry out. Okay, so in that regard, this will be the flow of presentation for the today's session. So we are going to see the meaning of the references. Then we have to see how to start the bibliography and references. Then what is the reason for every researcher are looking for to maintain the referencing and bibliography, right? That is the need of the research work, right? And if you submit your research work at any place, if you don't have the referencing and bibliography, your research work has no values. It has not the chances of rejection, but surely it will get rejected because it is a baseless research, right? So whenever you are submitting your research work, right, so it should be highly supported by the supporting documents, and these documents can be easily identified from the links that we have provided for the referencing and bibliography. Then different types of referencing and bibliography that we have to look for, right? Which different types of the referencing and bibliographies are there, so that is what we have to look forward. Then after, what are the different elements in referencing and bibliography? So there are multiple elements are there in the referencing and bibliography, though that we have to see to it. Which are the different formats for the referencing and bibliography which are available for the researcher, when the researcher are always looking for the compiling of referencing. So these are the important parameter that we have to see, and most importantly, the biggest myth in the minds of researcher, that either I can say referencing, or either I can say bibliography, both are same, but it is not like that. There is a vast difference. Is not there, but yeah, there is a thin difference between the referencing and bibliography for the research work that the researcher needs to carry out, right? So that we have to see how to differentiate those referencing and bibliography, right? So this is the flow of presentation for the today's discussion, and I hope after the session you might have the idea about there are different parts of putting your referencing and bibliography into the research work, right? So this work is being carried out into different parts and formats, right? So the proper and deep understanding of collecting those referencing and putting onto the right position for supporting your research work is very much need of an hour for the researcher, and that is what we have to learn. And most importantly, how fast and how efficient we can make this work possible for us, right? So that more and more research work can be carried out to make our research work on a more concrete ground for the acceptance of this particular research work into good qualitative journal, right? So that should be the aim of being a researcher. So that is what we are looking for during this particular session, for having the compilation of referencing and bibliography. Okay, so when somebody is asking me what is the referencing and bibliography, right? So what I typically say is that it is a section at the end of the paper, right? So if a layman language, if somebody is asking me what is the meaning of the referencing and bibliography, so you are right, right? So at end of the every research paper, we are finding the links, uh, the author name, so multiple things are there which we are finding that is supporting to the research work that we have done. It means we are citing those research work or previously done by the researcher, and through which we have taken the help to depict and to carry out our research work, with very smooth and effective manner, right? So to support our research work, we have taken the help of other researcher works, and the same we have tried to derive in our own research work, right? So it's a process through which we need to find out the collective literature review, and those literature review which are supporting to our research work, and might be through which we have taken a support from their research work into our own research work, right? So that we have to cite them, because it is the ethical ground. There is one topic is called ethics in research, right? So when we talks about ethics in research, so ethics in research is always lies in the proper treatment that every researcher will give the previous researcher by citing them on their own research work for which they have done in the past, right? That means it is giving a respect to the work and not stealing the ideas of other researchers, right? Or we are giving a credit to those researchers who have already done the efforts, right? So giving the credit to the right person is a duty of the researcher, and that is what we are fulfilling by putting the referencing and bibliography at the end of the research paper. And the most importantly, when we talks about the referencing and bibliography, so for which resources we have the referencing and bibliography? So the simple answer is that we might refer certain books which has been written by the multiple authors on the specific topic. Journal articles means the previous researcher who have already done the research work and published their articles. So we can take the help of those people also. We should also refer to the various websites through which we can get the data, collect the ideas how to conduct those research work, right? So we can refer the various websites also. Reports in terms of supporting documents. Let's say if I am the person of management, right? I am in the faculty of management, and basically my specialization in finance. So for finance people, we have the financial reports, which are the representation of the health of the organization. So being a researcher, if I want to survey the health of the any organization in terms of financial parameters, so I have to take the financial reports of that particular organization, and I have to check various parameters based on the literature review that I have it in the past, right? So I'll get idea which parameters I need to check, and this idea I can easily derive from the reports and the journal articles, right? So interviews. So if we want to conduct a research work on a qualitative based, so people are also looking for the interviews also, and any other supporting material that is significant having the contribution in your research work, right? So this is the few important parameters that we have to look for. The references sections usually follows the main body of the text and any appendix, right? So referencing sections usually having main body of the text. Main body of the text means the title of the paper, right? So your references, whenever you give the references for any papers, you must ensure that you should not miss out the title of the body for any papers and any appendix, right? You must ensure that you will provide a proper justification to that, because whenever you are having such kind of practices, that means you are trying to avoid the plagiarism for your research work, right? So this is most important. And when we are doing this practices, right, so there are certain formats which is available for combining the referencing and bibliography for the researcher. So that includes the bibliography informations about the sources, such as the author name, right? So here we are talking about the parameters of the bibliography that author must include, or you can say the references. So right now we are going with the common parameter like referencing and bibliography. So writing those bibliography and references, there is no point of difference. But to whom we can call it as a referencing citation and to whom we can call bibliography citation, so that is where the point of difference is there. Otherwise, to write those parameters, there is no other parameters and there is no other formats. The formats are same, but to whom we can call it as referencing and to whom we can call it as bibliography. So that would be the discussion of the later part. Let's talk about how to write the body of referencing and bibliography. So the body of is name of authors, title of the paper, publication date, that is year of publication, who is the publisher if it is applicable, and all other relevant information in terms of the volume of the publication, issue of the publication. You can also include the page number of the paper, right? So these are the multiple parameters that we all have to look forward, and few styles of writing bibliography and APAs. That is APA style, that is American Psychological Association, MLS style, Chicago style, right? So apart from that, there are other few sites are also there, so that we will see on the later part. But yes, in India, basically, when we talks about the research, we follows APA style. Okay. Then after, what are the benefits of having this kind of good practices to put the referencing after your research work? What are the important things that we are deriving? So first is narrow down your focuses. So whenever we put references, so clearly defines the scope of your research to avoid broad or vague topic, right? So when we are clear that we are going to conduct the research work on this particular topic, so we are not going to look forward for the literature review on the various other topics, right? Because we have already narrowed down our topic by applying the model called EIC model, right? So anybody is aware about what is EIC model? I hope you all are using in research whenever you require to apply. So what is EIC model, if you have any idea? EIC model stands for?
No, sir. No, sir.
Right. So yeah, let me explain. So whenever you decide your idea of your research work, so there is a model called EIC model, right? So let's suppose many a time when researchers start, putting into practice that I want to write the research paper. So many a times you feel yourself in a dilemma, right? What should be the title of the paper? And you might have experienced that many a times we take 10 days, 15 days to just decide the title or remodify the title, or might be we are not in a position to decide our title finally, right? So there are lots of modification is going on before starting the research work and during the research work also. It's just because we don't apply this concept called EIC model, right? That is economic, right? So there is a model called EIC, economic. I stands for industry, and C stands for company, right? C stands for company. So economic means in which economy you are be the part of this study. So let's say I want to conduct a study in India. So economy is done. So in Indian economy, how many industries are there? So there are lots of industries are there. Let's say steel industry, what I can say, automobile industry, FMCG sector, what knows, right? Lots of industries are there, but on which industry I want to carry out my research? Let's say I want to carry out my research on FMCG industry, right? So FMCG product, right? So this is FMCG's industry, fast moving consumer goods. So I want to carry out the research work in India, or might be not in India. So economy stands for geographical location. So let's say if I want to conduct my study into Gujarat state, right? So this is a geographical location, and I want to carry out my research in Gujarat in the industry of FMCG product, right? So these variables and parameters have been decided by me, and now I want to see the company, on which company you want to select. So now my scope of study is going to limit it, because I will only cover those companies who are having the business into FMCG product, because I have my industry FMCG, right? So let's say Hindustan Unilever, or whatsoever, Patanjali, right? So to whom you want to conduct a study, or you want to make a comparative study between FMCG product, one is the foreign country or MNC, and one is domestic country, right? So even you can go for the comparative study between MNC and domestic company, that is Patanjali, right? So you can see the preference of people in India for this particular two companies for the FMCG product, especially in Gujarat state. So can you now frame the title? Would you be able to frame the title? Yes or no? I can frame the title simply by looking at the parameter, a comparative study on, you know, a comparative study on the domestic and international company, product for FMCG product, right? A comparative study on, between the domestic and international company for FMCG product in the mines of Gujarat state, right? So can I do the research on this? Or
Yes.
else I can have a comparative study between the consumer perception towards the domestic and foreign companies for the FMCG product in the minds of the people of Gujarat. Right. So looks good. Right. If you decide this criteria well advanced, right? So you'll be able to decide your title well in advance. And when researcher is going to do this particular kind of practices, you know, so it reduces the modification into the title, right? And the moment you reach to the nearest to the finalization of title, believe me, the duplication of efforts that you have to make it in your research work again and again, for finding out the literature review for some topic and then fill it out. No, not possible to carry out those research on this topic, right? So you have wasted your efforts. Then again, you are restarting your, efforts to find out those literature review. So you are making duplications of work multiple times. What happens? You lose your interest, and sometimes it might happen that you drop the idea to do the research, right? So it might be happening in with you also. Agreed or not? Agreed. Many a times you people have feel it, right? So to avoid such kind of practices, your focus should be on deciding your title, and that should be come out when you have done the proper literature review, right? And to do this proper literature review, it is very essential that you collect all such articles on their parameter wise and arrange those articles into systematic pattern. And when we are talking about the arranging of such articles into systematic pattern, we are not talking nothing but the referencing and bibliography, right? And that's why, these referencing and bibliography will try to prove your work on ethical, original, and significant manner, right? So these are the benefits. It helps to find out the research in a focused area, right? So if you have the ample number amount of referencing and bibliography in your hands, right? So you can find out the multiple papers online and you can support to your research work, right? So this is the benefit that we are going to receive, but it is only possible when you have the referencing in your hands, and that references should be come out from the literature review of the past research. But for that, you have to collect those referencing, then only you will be able to search the supporting articles and document for your research work, right? Then define research as full of fundamental knowledge. You have to define your research work based on complete fundamental ground, right? It should not be like that it missed out the important crux and important parameters for your research work. It should be completely on fundamental knowledge. And that's why it helps to find out about the quality of work done and also helps to get the citation process and helps in avoiding plagiarism, right? So as I told you, if you have your research work thoroughly and if your referencing has been cited thoroughly, right? So it helps to avoid the plagiarism that you might face during your research work, right? So if you cite those articles to take the particular idea of the research work, it will be out from the plagiarism, right? So this is what the good practices we have to follow, and that benefit can be received from the proper compilation of the referencing and bibliography that we are doing it for our research paper. Okay, so this is the research cycle, right? So as I told you, so if you are not working properly for your research work, so what happens? This is the position, you can see this. If you are looking for research work, right? So if you are not deciding your EIC model that I have shown it over here, if you don't decide this, then what happens? If you are clear that you want to go for the particular economy of Gujarat industry in terms of FMCG, and in that you want to compare between domestic and international company consumer preference. But if you are not doing this practice, then what happens? So you can see this. You are just starting at the reading stage, that what should I do? Where I can look forward, right? So you will gone mad if you don't do the brainstorming in research and you are just doing the work and work. It will not work for sure. So what happens that this person has read something and over a night he might have received one idea, and this idea he's trying to depict in this laptop or a PC, that he's trying to write out the literature review or introduction part, for his research work. Then he realized that he has eaten the wrong words and wrong topics. So what he's feeling, that he's frustrating over here. You can see this when you have to go to the repetition of the process of this particular stage, right? So this process consumes a lot of time, and then after, if somebody is going to you in your DRC or reviewer meeting, the expert is saying that you have done this wrong, so rework it. And when you have to do this particular things, and again you reach to this level after having this successful hard work at the 6 months, you will feel frustrated and the entire efforts goes into the dustbin. So no researcher wants to put themselves into this particular condition, and to avoid these practices, be on toe with this particular EIC model. I hope it is clear, and that could be find it out from the referencing and bibliography. Is it clear? I hope you understand the process, what I am trying to say. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, right, when you have the references, according to the the test or area where you want to conduct a research, right? So this kind of referencing should be of your interest, and it is based on existing literature and the needs of the society, right? So whenever you have the references, it'll help to familiarize yourself with relevant literatures to identify the gaps. It is very important process, right? Even this FTP has been started with identification of problems and research gap, because it is the starting point of the research. So if being a researcher, I would not be in a position to decide my gap of research, I'm not in a position to put a single step forward for my further research journey, right? So it is very important to have the gap of research in the hand, and to receive those parameters, I should understand the existing knowledge and existing way out to carry out my research work. If I'm not doing it, I'm mistaken, I'm making mistakes, right? Then define the contribution, right? So whosoever has done this particular work, it is your responsibility being a researcher, while citing and providing referencing and bibliography in your research paper. You should not miss out the work that you have put it in your research work. So you should not forget to cite those people, and you should not forget to give the credit to that person for the research work that has been carried out, and those research work you have already taken as a part of supporting parameter, right? So it is your responsibility to define the contribution of the right people at the right place in your research work. And objectives, right? So to give credit to the previous authors for the contribution, and that is why we are doing referencing and bibliography in our research work, that we want to give the credit to that people who has literally done these efforts, and through which we have already taken the idea to carry out the further research work, right? Then we have to see this, how the structure of the paper should be. So basically, the research paper should be bifurcated into 5 parts, right? So the first part is the introduction of the topic, and believe me, introduction of the topic is also going to based on EIC model. So if you want to refer any of the thesis on InflipNet or something, so if you see this, it always starts with the economy, right? And then after, it talks about the various parameters of the industry. Let's suppose FMCG product, and then after, it talks about the particular company for which we talks about, right? So if you take these parameters into consideration, you will not ask anyone for the chapterization schemes for the introduction 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on, right? So it will be crystal clear for you. You don't have to ask to anyone for this particular aspect. Use clear language. So whenever you write your research paper, the different topics and the modules that you are looking for, the language should be very clear, precise. Don't use any particular jargons in the research work. Try to use simplified language so that others can understand and pursue some research idea from your research work, right? So this is very important. The research should be cited with the referencing and bibliography in this particular style. Stay updated means, it keep abstract of the latest research work in your field to inform your work, right? So if you have this kind of references, so you can use it for the further aspect. Then after, reflect and improve. So regular assessing your research process and outcomes, which provides an improvement for the opportunity, right? Then engage with peers. So attend conferences, workshops, and seminars to network with other researchers and learn from their experiences, right? And collaborate with experts. So if you are not expert in a particular topic and you want to collaborate with multidisciplinary approach in your research work, so that also you can do it for making quality of the work, right? So this is the benefit that we are receiving when you have cited the peers person for the work that they have carried out. So this is one of the high impact factor journals, right? So this is important parameter for the referencing and bibliography. So whenever you take the idea for your research work, so so this is a parameter of good qualitative journal. So if you submit your paper on any Scopus ABDC journal, so if you go through that particular journal, right? So whenever you submit your paper, there is a particular separate column for the bibliography and references. That means they want to check, right, that to write this particular paper and to apply the methodology for this particular paper, which type of journals you have preferred and what kind of work you have preferred. I have you preferred quality work, or you have just preferred the normal peer reviewed journals, right? So your referencing will speak out everything for your research work, right? Then that's why it carries a lot of importance for any research work that has been carried out for the academical or for the industrial purpose, right? Not only I'm talking in terms of the academic, but it is also important for the industry purpose, right? So you have to cite those papers, so that proves the impact of your research work, right? So if you have a good quality papers for the citing, it creates an importance and it create impacts in the minds of the editors and the reviewers, and the chances of accepting your research paper into good quality journals are going to be high. So that is what the requirement of the research work from the journals and from the universities to produce a good quality research work, followed by and supported by the proper citation provided through referencing and bibliography, right? So your referencing and bibliography should be rich in terms of taken from the quality journals, right? So that is what the need of the talking right now. Then important side for the quality referencing, that is so this is a obvious question that should be come out in the minds of researchers when we are talking about the quality of the referencing and bibliography. So these are the Scopus journals, right? Web of Science, you can find it out from Google Scholar and Trailer and Francis, right? So these are the few important website or portal for the journals, through which you can have the quality of the papers for your research work. So you must go and visit those parameters and you will able to find out the quality of the research journals, research work, and the same idea you can carry forward to make your work in a quality manner and to improve your chances to get accepted into quality journal. You must put and you must cite those papers which are already published into the quality journal. Try to avoid the ordinary journals to put it as a referencing and bibliography in your research paper. That creates an impact in the minds of the reviewers and the editors, right? So, and your chances of acceptance of the paper is getting high if your work is qualitative. Sometimes what happens, if your work is qualitative, but if the report in terms of the referencing and bibliography came that the majority of the references has been taken out from the ordinary journal, right? So it create a negative impression in the minds of editors and reviewer in spite of having the quality of the research work that has been carried out by the researcher, right? So be careful on this. Try to follow and focus on the quality journals, and the same journals should be cited into bibliography and the references. So this is the important part that every researcher has to carry out. Then why do we need the referencing and bibliography? What is the requirement? So simply to acknowledge the others' work, to give the credit to the others for the work that has been done by him or her, right? We cannot steal the ideas of other, but definitely we can take the help of the ideas of other by acknowledging them, by giving the privilege to them. So this is the ethics of research that every researcher has to carry out. Then, to allow readers to find out the sources easily, right? That means we should make some certain arrangement so that this kind of sources could be easily findable for the researcher, right? That means the quality journal, where to get the quality referencing and bibliography, where to get the quality papers, so that the people can take the ideas from this paper and have the proper citations for the paper, right? So we have to give the proper access to that particular things, and for that, to get recognition and authentication of the work, right? And to make the work informative, so that is in terms of the quality of the work that we have provided to the society. And our work should speak out, our work should have certain message, certain importance, and through which we can make it informative. Then, to trace the intellectual development of the idea that you present, right? So many times what happens, when we find out the gap of the research work, and we might have followed the literature review of the previous work, so we might have find out the certain parameters, certain gaps through which we are trying to prove our work on a different site and different parameter, right? So we have to trace those work, and to do that, we also have to have the quality of the referencing and bibliography, right? So because how to differentiate that we have taken the help of this particular paper help or not, right? So this is how to differentiate our work, that this paper has done this, and due to which we have received these idea, but we are trying to provide one more step in advance for this area research work, and through which and due to which we are carrying out this particular research work. So it helps also to define the title of your research work, and at the same time, based on the title, you would be able to decide the appropriate objective for your research work. And believe me, if you have done this part, it would be easy for you to carry out the further work in terms of to have the applications of the proper research methodology, and based on the methodology you can apply the proper data analysis tools and techniques for the research work, and finally you will be able to conclude your research, and you would be able to communicate your conclusion of the research to the society, that creates the importance in their minds, and due to which you will receive the more citation, more acceptance of your research work, for in the name of the citation index, right? H index, I index. But for that, this is the work that being a researcher we needs to carry out properly and authentically we have to carry out, right? So this is what is required. So different types of referencing, I'll not go into detail, but yes, one of the important parameter is annotated bibliography. So what is annotated bibliography is, you just don't put the bibliography into the paper, but you have to provide a summary of the bibliography that you are taking as a help of your research work. That means if some paper has been mentioned that you want to find it out, the perception of the consumer for the online banking, right? So you just don't put the references, but try to write, one paragraph into 5 to 6 lines, what exactly this paper is trying to say according to the research work that you have been carried out, right? So this is called annotated bibliography. So you just don't write bibliography, but you are also trying to put the crux of the paper that has been decided over here, right? So that is called annotated bibliography, which provide better understanding for the sources that the researcher has cited and their contribution of the research. So if at all, once your research work gets published and any other researcher wants to refer your paper, wants to cite you, wants to understand your work, it would be very easy when he don't read entire paper, but he'll just go to the referencing and bibliography part and try to understand this particular bibliography means. He would be better to able to understand why this particular article has been cited by this particular author, and how he has taken the help of this particular author into his or her research work, right? Through which, once you do these practices for 9 to 10 papers, 9 to 10 bibliography and references, believe me, you would be able to decide what exactly you need to apply in your research work, right? So, and that's why it is very important to follow the quality research paper. And quality research paper means the referencing and bibliography should be picked up for the quality work that you are looking for the title of your research work, that you are easily receivable from the referencing and bibliography. So that is what annotated. right? Selective bibliography. So I'll not discuss much in detail, but yeah, you just select which bibliography is useful to you, means the bibliography which you have taken in your work, and discard those bibliography which you have not utilized. This is called selective. Subject means you focused on the sources related to the subject only. You'll not try to see the sky into your research work, and that is obviously you should have a funnel process. So you should focus on those articles which are related to the subject, which are supporting to your subjects, and you'll not try to prove something extraordinary for your research work. That is called the subject bibliography that we have to look forward. Then exhaustive, right? So it's attempt to list, it is a kind of, you know thoroughly reading of all the research paper that we have it, in spite of having any filtering option in our hand. But we'll try to find out all articles, and we'll try to get the idea of each and every article. But I think this bibliography practice is not in much use, because nobody wants to go for exhaustive. Once your research area is defined, then it is not required that you will try to touch upon every area of the research, right? When your research area is decided, you should not try to go into sky, right? So you believe into the funnel process, right? And you stick to the funnel process. So this kind of bibliography is not in much use. Chronological, so this is just chronological order from A to Z and so on. So this is chronological. Descriptive, so descriptive bibliography provides, previously we have seen the summary, but here we are talking about the detailed information about the character of the books and the other printed materials and rest of all the information related to the research work. So this is descriptive bibliography. Again, this is not much used into the today's scenario, because nobody wants to see the typical information of the publications and all this. But yes, people are looking for the quality of the paper, quality of the citation, and quality of the journal. Rest is not required for the researcher. So elements of the bibliography that we have to see to it, which elements you should look forward when you are planning to write the referencing and bibliography for your research paper. So firstly, you have to write the name of author, and the name of author should be written as the last name and then first name later, right? So you might have seen that if you find my paper, so so my name is Krunal Soni, so it always starts from Sony, right, comma K. Right, so this is APA style, and for that, the name of author should be followed by the last name and then first name. Year of publication in which the paper has been published into the journal. The title of the research paper or research work should always be there in the references. The name of the journal where this paper has been published, because it defines the quality of work. If it is in the quality journal, definitely you know the research work should be carried out by 3 to 4 blind review process, and obviously the quality is going to be very high. In which edition, in terms of the volume number and issue number, at this particular paper has been published. Periodicity means that is what the volume and issue. And edition means if it is quarterly, half yearly, and so on, and which series, right? So if there is a series of that, series 1, series 2, so this is what we have to pick up. So usually these are the multiple formats for the referencing and bibliography that we have to look forward. So if at all, even if you are going to Google Scholar, right, and if you type any article name, right, so you can see this APA style. I told if my article is there, so I have put my article example over here. So here you can see this APA style format. So my name is Krunal Soni. So this is called Sony, comma dot K, and it is followed by other author, that is Desai dot M. So his name starts from M, and this is year of publication. And then this is the title of the paper, very precise and to the point, right? And you can see this EIC model over here. So I have carried out into India, which industry, right? So I have carried out onto the industry. If it is not there, then my variable was behavioral biases, right? And on what? So investors perception, there are behavioral biases could be existing every aspect. Even if I'll talk about any marketing parameter for the consumers, so consumers are always going to be followed by cognitive dissonance, but how this cognitive dissonance can be utilized into finance sector for the investors. So investors was my right consumers, right company for me, right? Because I was not carried out on any particular company or industry, right? But I am going into finance sector, right? So here is the sector, but yeah, all in all, the crux is very same, right? So if you decide those parameters, then you will be able to, structure your title of the paper would be very easy. And once the structurization of title is in a right way, you will not take much time to decide your objectives, and no much rectifications should be required for the further work in the research. But if it's not done, you will gone mad by doing multiple, works, repetitively works, and you will get exhausted. And sometimes you left the idea to write the research paper, right? So it should not happen. And when we talks about the references, so the style of referencing should be MLA style, APA style, the Chicago style, IEEE, and CSA style, right? So these are the multiple citation style, which is already available in Google Scholar also, right? So you can see over here, this is the screenshot which I have taken from the Google Scholar only, MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver, right? So these are the styles which is available already in Google Scholar for any article that you are looking for. Okay. So you can see the format. If I talk about the MLA references, so here you can see the differences, right? You just see this, how the style is going to be, change, and how the style is going to be differ from each other. Here you can see this, the name of the author in MLA style. The second parameter is the title of the paper. Once this parameter is getting over, then you have the journal name, the third parameter. So this is first parameter, this is second, this is third parameter, that is the name of the journal. So first was the name of author. You can see this here, they are not writing the first name in a short form. They are writing full name, Sony, that is last name, comma, Krunal, right? And then after the name of the journal, title of the topic, and then name of the journal. Here is the volume and issue, that is volume number 10, issue number 1. Year of publication, so this is fourth number. This is 5 number, that is publication year, and the page number where it is there, right? So this is 6 number. So there are 6 parameters basically in any format of referencing and bibliography. So this is MLA. Now you see the shifting is happening into the parameter when I'm converting my referencing and bibliography style from MLA to APA. So you can see this, how the changes are happening, right? So you can see this, the first changes, the first name, the name is there, but you can see this, the name is converted into the short form of first name, right? Then year of publication is coming here. So earlier it was after the journal name. You can see this, earlier it was here on the 5th point, but now it is shifted to 2nd point. You can see this, right? Then after, the title of the paper was there, right? So title of the paper was there, that is okay, right? Then after, the name of journal was also there, then after it is okay. But the two major changes from MLA to APA is the name is going to be shortened for the first name, and the publication year is immediately coming after the name of author in APA style. If you see this into Chicago, so you can see the changes and shuffling is happening. So you can refer, sit together. You can see this. In APA, it was the year of publication here. Now it has been shifted here. Right. So this is how, and the second point is just like in MLA, the full name of author for the first name is coming also in Chicago. So this is a point of difference. Right. So difference between referencing and bibliography, finally, I'll conclude. So referencing and bibliography is that usually people understand that both are same, but actually it is not there. So what is the point of difference? What is the theme point of differences? So referencing are the items that you have read and specifically refer in your work, right? And you list your sources at the end of the assignment will be heated as referencing. And bibliography is the list of everything you have read. Like if I'm reading one particular article and from which I have just taken an idea of one particular word, or even if I have not taken any idea of that particular one word also, but that article has given me the idea what I need to do and what I need to do. So some kind of guidance has been provided by this particular article. So even if I am not taking the entire idea of that particular research work, but yes, this is a kind of enhancing knowledge for that particular area on which I'm conducting my research. So this is called bibliography. Even if I am not taking this entirely as my work, so this is bibliography, usually website and all this, where websites and all these links are there. So we are providing them into hyperlinks. So you give it hyperlink, or just you put the link or the book name, you have it with author. So many things you will put in bibliography, but referencing are those papers from which you have taken the idea of the particular area of research where you want to carry out your research work, right? So you have to refer those particular people, you have to cite those people in terms of this particular styles, right? Just like we have seen this previous one, APS style, MLS style, or whatsoever style is preferable to the journal and to the university for the research work that we are trying to submit, right? So this is what is nutshell or it's all about. And the sources of referencing and bibliography, if I have to see to it, then I must refer books, journal, newspaper, conference paper, institutional publications, electronic sources, thesis reports, and so on, right? So these are the multiple things which you can usually, journals we are putting into the references. Usually we are putting journals into references because journal is complete structure of the article that we are preparing. But rest assured, this newspapers, conference paper, even conference papers proceeding can be the part of references. But rest all are the part of bibliography, because we are not taking complete idea in terms of methodology, analysis, sampling technique, sampling size. This idea we are not getting it from the books, newspaper, electronic sources like websites, and but yeah, thesis can also be the part of references, right? So this is how you have to bifurcate those things, because these three parameters in terms of we have noted over here, like journals, conference, and thesis reports, right? So these three are the important sources which will provide the complete structurization of the research work that we need to carry it out into the same format that we are looking for. But rest are just a glimpse of the idea of the topic. So parameters, characteristics through which we can have certain ideas, but not entirely, right? So this is what the sources of referencing and bibliography. So what are the parameters for identifying the quality references? So you just see to it the good journals, see the H index of the journals, see the H index of the authors also. If you are looking for journals, so which university journals you are looking for, in which index this particular journals are coming. Let's suppose if I'm talking about Scopus journal, so is it coming into Q1 journal, Q2 journal, Q3 journal, right? So gradually you will increase your standards. So eventually, if you want to start, so this is the lowest Scopus journal, so you should focus on Q1, Q4. Once Q4 is done, then you increase your standard up to Q3. Once Q3 achieved, you go to Q2, and once Q2 is there, you go to Q1. This is very important stage. People are taking 2 years, 3 years down the line to publish a single paper. So it's a huge journey, but yes, make a confidence in yourself and try to focus on your research work thoroughly. Reason for references. So yes, whatever things that you have received as a part of the supporting parameter for your research work, so it is obviously as a part of ethics in the research, you have to either cite them as a part of referencing and bibliography. So the difference I have already given to you. So complete idea where you have received for the research work, you have to provide referencing, and you just have taken a glimpse of one particular word or one particular line of your research work from many of the sources, you have to include as a bibliography, right? So that's it from my side. So the stage is open for all of you. If you have any doubts, so you can ask me. Yeah. Yes, madam, you have any doubt? Pungodi madam, you can ask by unmuting yourself. Anyone is having any doubt, so please ask me right now.
What about Harvard style
Yeah, in a sense, sir.
in referencing the journals or indexing the reference?
See, Harvard style, there is nothing to see to it, right? If you prefer any of the style, I'll just show you. right? If you go to Google Scholar, right? So style is available for every parameter,
मेहनत कर
right?
भागा वाला नहीं है.
So style is available for every paper, right? Let's say if I'm showing you one of my paper, so this is one of the paper. Let's take an example. I'll just copy this paper, and again I'll go to Google Scholar, and I'll just paste this paper. So this style is available in every style, right? Where you don't have to make an efforts, right? I hope you are aware about this Google Scholar, and through Google Scholar, I don't know what happens. Stock prices. Let me see the topic. Yeah, I'll just copy paste this topic. So if you type any topic of research papers, you can see this the site. If you click over here site, so this style is available Harvard. So whichever style you want to make it, just copy from here and just paste it over here. Right, for style it doesn't matter, right? So even if it is in Harvard style, and if I'm referring some papers, right, so that paper can be useful for me as a future references or for other researcher also for the future references. Now I wanted to know your question, in what sense you are asking like Harvard University. Are you asking in terms of any effect on research or something?
Yeah, that is the Harvard style is taken as the at higher level, or say in referencing site, it's taken as the good ones. I am from engineering background, that's why
Yeah, in
I
engineering background, IEEE, absolutely. IEEE, all journals mainly they are providing Harvard. That is
yes.
right, right. But for in commerce and social science, we prefer APA style mostly, or
Thank
MLA, or in some case it is MLA. So you can go for Amitra Girota madam has put one question. Kindly suggest few sites for the good journals. Yeah. So firstly, I'll advise you to go to the libraries of any IIMs. If you are getting permission for that, they have all the access of the journals. But even if you want to go for the good journals, so you can go for the what I can say JSTOR, elsewhere publications, Taylor and Francis, right? So these are the good platforms where you will find out the quality papers to support your research work, right? And the chances of acceptance of your research paper are going to be high if you can understand those research work and you will try to put the citation of this kind of research paper into your paper. Yeah, for APA style, mostly it is used in commerce and management. Yeah, any other questions, please unmute yourself and you can ask. No need to raise the hands. Please ask.
Sir, is there any minimum for the number of references that one needs to use?
Not necessary. You should, but there is no criteria to have minimum and maximum. But there is a criteria that no particular line should be left out without references. Right? Because whenever we are writing a single line in research paper, apart from the data analysis, even in data analysis, the interpretation should have the supporting to the research paper, because until ultimately the variables that you have taken for your research work, it is based on the variable that is already taken by some other authors, right? So somebody has put we can use software like EndNote and Mandy. Yeah, definitely. I was trying to show you the Zotero today, but unfortunately it is not working right now. Otherwise I do mention Zotero also in my presentation day on a day-to-day basis.
Sir,
Thank you.
sir,
Yes.
is it necessary to use softwares like Mendeley in uh, in the publication of a Springer, or just we can prepare references as per our own?
See, no publication is asking where you have maintained a references. But yeah, this kind of software will make your work easy, because even if I'll talk about Zotero, right? So if you put the just put the link of that paper, so Zotero will automatically fetch the paper and save it for you for the lifetime. So in case in future, if you want to refer, you don't have to make a hunting again to search the topic and find out the respective paper. So it will be saved forever. So you just create your folder with the name of the research area where you are working, and whenever you are looking again for the research work, this kind of library in the Zotero will try to cite your paper directly in the Word file. That is the benefit we are receiving, because it makes our work easy, concrete, and sound work that we can represent to the quality journal. Quality journals are looking for systematic literature review. They are not asking where you are maintaining your citation, either in terms of Zotero or Mendeley.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Is any other participant?
Sir, see, the simple answer to this question is Zotero, Mendeley. So simply I can say this, where you are comfortable is, but yeah, according to my experience, in comparison to Zotero and Mendeley, so Zotero is quite user friendly in comparison to the Mendeley. That is a limitation, no? Mendeley has certain limitation, right? So some certain link we cannot cite in Mendeley, but this practice is available in Zotero. That's what I'm saying. No, it is a user friendly in comparison to Mendeley. So I think I hope I have answered majority of the query, and I hope you have received some benefits, by having a great and intellectual queries that has been asked by our participants. So endnotes. So see, it is based on journal, sir. If journal required the citation on every pages, you put footnote. But if the journal is required the referencing and bibliography at the end of the paper, you should have the endnotes. Clear? So thank you so much, all of you, for patient listening and giving me the time to share my thoughts and views on the comparing, referencing, and bibliography. So thank you so much, RFI, Nikita madam. Right. So, madam, over to you, Neha madam. Thank you.
Yes, sir. A splendid session, sir. So, as we bring today's session to a close, I wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation to all participants for your invaluable contributions. A special acknowledgement goes out to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Kunal Soni, sir, for generously sharing his time and expertise with us. I also want to express sincere gratitude to the organizing committee and sponsors whose support has been instrumental in making this program possible. With profound appreciation for everyone's dedication and involvement, we officially conclude today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And participants, one more thing, the concluding session will be on July 8th. There will be no session on Saturday and Sunday.